Did you ever notice how we keep adding more information onto the call taker's screen, and yet somehow we expect to make things easier? More data, more alerts, more systems, and yet we call that progress. But let me ask you something. At what point does more helpful turn into too much to handle? Because there is a limit, but most people don't even know where it is. And that's what's coming up on TiPS Today in Public Safety. Welcome to TiPS Today in Public Safety. This is Fletch. I'm a NENA certified ENP, and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I bring you the latest, most informative, sometimes controversial takes on emergency communications. Today I want to talk about something that almost never shows up on a spec sheet: cognitive load. Not bandwidth, not processing power, but the human side of the system. The bucket analogy. Think of the call taker's brain like a big old bucket. Stay with me here. Every piece of information you give them is like a drop of water. Caller information, location, CAD data, radio traffic, supervisor inputs, policy requirements. Now here's the problem. We keep pouring more water into that bucket, but nobody ever asked how big the bucket actually was. And at some point, it's going to overflow. And when that happens, it's not the system that crashes, the human does. When good data becomes bad. This is where it gets interesting. Most of the data we're adding in is technically good data. It's accurate, it's relevant, it's available. But timing matters. If the call taker's trying to confirm an address, calm a caller, or dispatch resources, and at the exact same time they're getting hit with sensor alerts, additional data feeds, and mapping overlays, that isn't support, that's interference. If that information is so loud that the call taker can't hear anything else, what have you really accomplished? The real design problem. Look, let's be real. This isn't a technology problem. It's a design problem. We sit in the back room and design systems like, here's everything you could possibly need, instead of, here's what you need right now. Ping me when you need more. That becomes the difference between information availability and operational usability. And it's in that gap where mistakes happen. Reality check. Look, here's your reality check. Most systems today are optimized for data delivery, not decision making. Oh, and by the way, those are not the same thing. Just because you can deliver the data doesn't mean that you should. The bottom line. Look, here's the bottom line. The most advanced system in the world doesn't matter if the person using it is overwhelmed. Manufacturers need to design for the human, not just the technology, because in the end, the call taker is still the system. More isn't always better. Sometimes it's just more. That wraps up this episode of TiPS Today in Public Safety. This is Fletch. Remember to follow me on social media at Fletch911. Be sure to check out my full episodes of TiPS at 911tips.com. My blogs are at Fletch.tv, and my professional website is at Fletch911.com. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Remember to drop a like and tell your friends. And if you're in public safety, thanks for what you do every single day. We'll catch you next time. Take care.
You've been listening to TiPS Today in Public Safety, your go-to podcast for today's breaking stories and public safety news. Hosted by Fletch and available every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Catch past episodes on 911tips.com. Be sure to like and subscribe, and remember to join us each week for the latest on NG 911. I am Spider Harrison, the official 911 voiceover dude. Catch me on Sirius XM on various channels, including 90s on 9, the 10 spot, and on the Weekend Countdown on Hits 1. Or don't regret it for the rest of your life. Either way, I'm good.